I want to thank you all for this opportunity to address such a dedicated and courageous group. And especially I want to thank the Christian peacemaker teams for choosing to take action against the death penalty in Indiana. This year has really been exceptional for our state. We've executed 4 people, and a 5th man is counting the days. That's an unprecedented number for us. The frightening reality, however, is that next year might be more of the same. So now is the time to press our case before Governor Daniels, before the Indiana legislature, and most importantly, before the people of our state. Even more specifically, now is the time to press our case before those who belong to a religious denomination which opposes killing for killing's sake. It's time for those people whose churches tell them the death penalty is inappropriate to reflect on their beliefs and to come to understand that the death penalty is wrong, it's ungodly, and it's a hoax. The death penalty promises reduced crime, but it doesn't deliver. The death penalty promises heightened respect for life and for the law, but it doesn't deliver.
That's right.
And the death penalty promises comfort for the families of the victims, but it doesn't deliver. Today I have 2 messages. One is as a founding member of the Indiana Information Center on the Abolition of Capital Punishment. We are proud to be associated with the movement toward alternatives to the death penalty, and we are proud to be part of this gathering today. In the years since our founding, we have helped in small ways and in larger ways to open some discussion regarding the death penalty in Indiana. The discussion has been productive. In 1994, the Indiana legislature became one of the nation's first to abolish the death penalty for those with mental retardation. And as we all know, that action, joined with similar action by state legislatures across the country, led the United States Supreme Court to rule in 2002 that the execution of mentally retarded people violates the U.S. Constitution's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. In 2002, the Indiana legislature decided that we no longer needed to kill children in our state. We raised the minimum age for death penalty eligibility from 16 to 18. And as we all know, that action, joined with similar action by state legislatures from around the country, caused the United States Supreme Court to rule in 2004 that the execution of those 18 or younger than 18 at the time of their crime, violates the U.S. Constitution's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. And I'm proud to say that the Indiana Information Center on the Abolition of Capital Punishment participated strongly in the effort to accomplish that change in Indiana law. Right. The reason our nation abolished the death penalty for those with mental retardation and for those who were children at the time of their crimes is that those members of society are, by definition, less culpable for their acts than mature adults of normal mental ability. Right. Yet, Indiana's death row today includes many people who, because of severe mental illness, are also less culpable for their crimes. Those who are under 17, of course, are still responsible for their crimes. Those who have mental retardation are still responsible for their crimes. They simply aren't eligible any longer for that punishment we reserve for the worst of the worst. Those who, through no fault of their own, suffer from a severe mental illness which contributed to their crime should not be eligible for that punishment either.
That's right.
To his great credit, Governor Daniels just last month commuted the death sentence of Arthur Baird. The governor did not absolve Baird of responsibility for his crimes. Instead, the governor said that Arthur Baird is not the kind of person that we should kill in Indiana. And that gets me to the second message I have here today. We have another execution scheduled 18 days from now. If Governor Daniels doesn't stop the execution, it will be the 5th this year. The next man on the execution train is my friend and client, Alan Matheny. Alan has been evaluated by numerous mental health professionals over the years. They all agree that he suffers from a severe mental illness. Alan has a paranoid delusional disorder. He believes deeply and sincerely things that simply aren't true. He believes that his ex-wife, the victim of the crime, conspired with the local prosecuting attorney to falsely imprison him, and that they intended to keep him in prison for the rest of his life. That false belief does not excuse Alan's conduct, but it affects everything he did, and it affects everything he does. Arthur Baird's delusional disorder figured in the governor's decision to grant clemency in that case. I asked the governor to recognize that Arthur Baird was not the only mentally ill man on Indiana's death row. Arthur Baird was not the only one who, though responsible for his crimes, is not, by definition, the worst of the worst. Alan Matheny is similarly afflicted. He is not among the worst of the worst, and he deserves the mercy that only Governor Daniels can grant. We are making progress. That's not bad, but it's not enough. While we continue to chip away at the death penalty, it's important for us to remember that lives are being saved. When the U.S. Supreme Court said we will no longer kill children, lives were saved, and that's a good thing. Yeah. When the U.S. Supreme Court said we will no longer kill those who are mentally retarded, lives were saved, and that's a good thing. Someday soon, the United States Supreme Court is going to say we should no longer kill people with severe mental illness. That will be a good thing. We can only hope that it comes soon enough to save those on death row in Indiana and around the country who are not subject to being saved yet today. I want to thank you all for coming here today. Together, we make a difference. Your good thoughts and your efforts move us one step closer to securing real alternatives to the death penalty in Indiana and around the country. We all hope that those efforts take effect before and not after another 1 or 5 or 8 or 10 people are executed. As we work toward that goal, let's all tell the governor, let's tell our families, tell our friends, tell our neighbors, tell our church brethren, and tell our communities through letters to the editor of our newspapers that we don't want or need to kill people. We don't want or need to kill people whose mental illness makes them less than culpable for their crimes. Please pray for those on death row. Pray for the families of the victims. And finally, I ask specifically at this time for your prayers for Alan Matheny and your prayers for the family of the victim in this case. Thank you.